We rank everything: the deadliest sharks, the most venomous snakes, the most dangerous big cats. But every single one of those lists is missing something. Because the deadliest predators on Earth aren't sharks, they aren't lions, they aren't even visible to the naked eye. The microscopic world is full of hunters so efficient, so brutal, and so perfectly engineered for killing that the apex predators we fear look almost harmless by comparison. So today, we're ranking the 7 levels of micro-predators, from the ones that are merely terrifying, all the way up to the ones that have a 97% kill rate against the most complex organism on the planet. Starting with level 1, and working our way up to something that will genuinely make you rethink every body of water you've ever swum in. Level 1. Didinium, the Pac-Man of the microscopic world. Let's start with something that eases you in. Level 1 isn't deadly to humans. It's not going to kill you. But in its own world, at its own scale, Didinium is one of the most relentless hunters in existence, and watching it hunt is genuinely unsettling. Didinium is a barrel-shaped, single-celled organism, about 80 to 500 micrometers long, covered in 2 bands of cilia that spin it through water like a drill bit. It has one prey item. Just one. Paramecium. And it hunts them exclusively, obsessively, and with a precision that seems almost mechanical. When Didinium encounters a paramecium, which is actually larger than it doesn't hesitate. It fires specialized structures called toxocysts from a proboscis on its front end, paralyzing the paramecium. Then it does something that looks physically impossible. It stretches its entire body around the prey and swallows it whole. Didinium can eat multiple paramecia per day, each one larger than itself. It essentially turns its entire front end into a mouth on demand. And here's what makes it level 1 rather than higher. It's a specialist. Remove paramecia from the environment and Didinium starves. It can't adapt, can't switch prey. In the microscopic ecosystem, it's a perfectly engineered but single-purpose killing machine. Terrifying in its niche, irrelevant outside of it. Level 2. Vampyrellid amoebas, the microscopic vampires. Level 2 earns its name. Scientists actually called these things vampire amoebas, and once you understand what they do, the name makes complete sense. Vampyrellid amoebas are predatory amoebas that hunt algae and other cells using a method that is as elegant as it is brutal. They don't engulf their prey the way most amoebas do. Instead, they approach slowly, extend a thin pseudopodium toward the target cell, and drill. Using enzymatic secretions, they dissolve a perfectly circular hole in the prey's cell wall, a hole just large enough for what comes next. The amoeba inserts a feeding tube through the hole and systematically sucks the contents of the cell out. Everything. The cytoplasm, the organelles, the genetic material. All of it drawn out through that single small opening. What's left behind is an empty, perfectly intact cell wall with a clean, circular hole in it. A microscopic corpse drained of everything that made it alive. This precision is what makes Vampyrellid amoebas remarkable. They don't destroy their prey. They don't tear it apart. They remove everything useful with surgical accuracy and leave the shell. And they can do this to multiple cells in sequence, moving methodically through colonies of algae like a systematic exterminator. Level 2 because their prey is other microbes, not multicellular organisms. But the method? That's pure nightmare fuel at any scale. Level 3. Bdelloid rotifers, the hunters that steal from everything. Level 3 is fascinating for a different reason. Bdelloid rotifers aren't just predators, they're genetic pirates. And understanding what they steal puts them firmly in the middle of this list. Rotifers are microscopic animals, genuinely animals with muscles, nervous systems, digestive tracts, the works, all compressed into a body you need a microscope to see. They hunt bacteria, algae, and organic particles using a crown of cilia that creates feeding currents, pulling prey toward a set of internal jaws called the mastax. The mastax is remarkable. Under electron microscopy, it looks engineered, a complex set of hard plates that grind, crush, and process prey with mechanical precision. For a microscopic animal, the hunting efficiency is extraordinary. But what earns Bdelloid rotifers level 3 status isn't the hunting, it's the DNA theft. Bdelloid rotifers practice horizontal gene transfer more extensively than almost any animal known. When they desiccate and rehydrate, their cell membranes become temporarily permeable. During this window, they incorporate foreign DNA from bacteria, fungi, algae, and other organisms in their environment directly into their genome. Up to 10% of their active genes may have been stolen from other organisms, including, critically, genes for enzymes that break down cell walls, genes for stress resistance, and genes for toxin production. They've been building their predatory toolkit by stealing from their prey for millions of years. They are, in the most literal sense, what they eat. Level 4, Stentor, the giant that thinks we're at the halfway point. And level 4 is where things get genuinely strange. Because Stentor isn't just a predator, it's a predator that appears to make decisions. Stentor is enormous by microscopic standards, up to 2 millimeters long, visible to the naked eye under the right conditions. Trumpet-shaped, with a crown of cilia creating powerful feeding currents that pull prey, bacteria, algae, small rotifers, even other single-celled organisms toward its mouth. As predators go, it's impressive. But what makes Stentor level 4 is what happens when you try to stop it from hunting. In a famous series of experiments, scientists repeatedly disturbed Stentor while it was feeding, applying chemical irritants to its environment. And Stentor responded in ways that implied something more than simple reflexes. First irritation, it bent away from the stimulus. Continued irritation, it reversed its ciliary beating to push the irritant away. More irritation, it contracted fully into itself. Further irritation, it detached from its anchor and swam away to find a new location. A sequence of 4 distinct responses, each one escalating, each one a logical progression from the last. A decision tree. In a single cell with no brain, no centralized nervous system, no neurons in any organized structure we'd recognize. How a cell achieves what looks like behavioral flexibility remains one of the genuine open questions in cell biology. And that mystery puts Stentor firmly at level 4. Level 5, Naegleria fowleri, flagellate form, the shape-shifting hunter. Now we're entering genuinely dangerous territory. Level 5 is the first predator on this list that can kill you, and it does it by shape-shifting into the most effective form for reaching the most protected organ in your body. Naegleria fowleri exists in 3 forms: as a cyst, dormant and indestructible; as a trophozoite, crawling through sediment and hunting bacteria; and as a flagellate, a swimming form that develops 2 whip-like flagella and moves through water with purpose and speed. This flagellate form is what makes Naegleria fowleri level 5, because when water containing this organism is forced up a human nose with enough pressure, the flagellate form is mobile enough, small enough, and directed enough to reach the olfactory epithelium at the back of the nasal cavity. From there, following chemical gradients that evolution programmed it to follow for finding bacteria, it instead finds something it was never designed to hunt: human neurons. It crosses the cribriform plate, enters the brain, and begins feeding. Using the same phagocytosis it evolved for consuming bacteria, it consumes neurons. Its 97% fatality rate in humans is almost incidental. We are not its prey. We are a mistake. A fatal, irreversible mistake caused by a microscopic hunter following ancient instincts in the wrong environment. And that accidental lethality, combined with the shape-shifting ability that delivers it to the most protected organ in the human body, puts it firmly at level 5. Level 6, Toxoplasma gondii, the mind controller. Level 6 doesn't kill quickly. It doesn't kill dramatically. It does something that in some ways is far more disturbing. It reprograms the brain of its host to make the host seek out death on its behalf. Toxoplasma gondii is a single-celled parasite that infects warm-blooded animals. Its primary host is cats. Its intermediate hosts are rodents, birds, and occasionally humans. And in its intermediate hosts, it does something that should be impossible. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, one of the most impermeable barriers in biology, specifically designed to keep things out of the brain. Once inside, it forms cysts in the amygdala, the region responsible for processing fear and threat response. In rats and mice, the result is documented, repeatable, and genuinely terrifying. Infected rodents lose their fear of cats. Not just reduced fear, some infected rodents are actively attracted to cat urine, a scent that should trigger immediate flight response.
They walk toward the scent, toward the cat, and they get eaten, which is exactly what Toxoplasma needs, because the cat's digestive system is the only environment where Toxoplasma can complete its sexual reproductive cycle. In humans, approximately 1/3 of the global population is infected with Toxoplasma. Most show no obvious symptoms.
But statistical analysis of large populations has found associations between Toxoplasma infection and increased risk-taking behavior, reduced reaction times, higher rates of traffic accidents, and subtle personality changes. The evidence is correlational, not conclusively causal, but the mechanism exists. The cysts are there. The amygdala is affected. Whether Toxoplasma is meaningfully altering human behavior or not is still debated. What's not debated is that it crosses the blood-brain barrier, lives in your brain, and definitively reprograms the behavior of other mammals to serve its reproductive needs. That earns it level 6. Level 7. Naegleria fowleri, trophozoite form inside the brain. The 97% kill rate level 7 is the same organism as level 5, but we're putting it here again because the trophozoite form of Naegleria fowleri, once inside the brain, operates at a completely different level of lethality than anything else on this list, and the distinction matters. When Naegleria fowleri reaches the brain in its flagellate form, it converts back to its feeding form, the trophozoite. And in the brain, with essentially unlimited food available, it becomes something that has no equivalent in the microscopic world. It doesn't just feed. It uses a process called trogocytosis, where it takes bites out of living neurons while they're still functioning. Not engulfing them whole, not dissolving them with enzymes, biting. Taking pieces of living, active brain cells and consuming them while the cell is still alive and trying to function. The immune response this triggers makes everything worse. White blood cells flood the brain. Inflammation builds. The brain swells inside the rigid skull. Blood vessels rupture. Pressure compresses the brainstem. From first symptom to death, the timeline is typically 5 days, sometimes less, and the treatment options are essentially experimental. The one drug with any demonstrated effectiveness, amphotericin B, has to be injected directly into the brain to reach therapeutic concentrations. Survival requires diagnosis within 24 to 48 hours of first symptoms, which are headache and fever, symptoms indistinguishable from hundreds of other conditions. Out of approximately 450 documented cases worldwide since records began, 16 people have survived. 16. That's a 97% fatality rate against the most medically advanced species on Earth, using drugs, hospitals, imaging technology, and specialist physicians. A single-celled organism with no brain, no nervous system, no evolutionary intention to harm humans at all, achieves a kill rate that no apex predator, no venomous snake, no infectious disease in history has matched against a species capable of fighting back. That's not just level 7. That's a number that puts the entire concept of predation in a different context. The microscopic world isn't a simplified version of the world we see. It's a parallel world with its own rules, its own arms races, its own apex predators, and its own horror stories. And it's happening right now, in every body of water, every handful of soil, every surface you've ever touched. Right now on MicroZoo, we're just getting started on exploring it. So if you enjoyed this video, there's a lot more where this came from. We've already done deep dives on tardigrades and hydra, and we're just getting warmed up. Your support means everything as we build this channel. Thank you, truly. And until next time on MicroZoo, you can watch this video right here. I think you'll love it.